Is it possible to provide custom-fit mental health interventions to patients? Are we envisioning a utopia? Can mental health be predicted based on gene profiling? Could the breakthroughs in genetics research be weaponized by a character reminiscent of a James Bond villain? Imagine a future where you walk into a psychiatric hospital, and the first thing they do is plug you into a machine. This peculiar machine is capable of probing your genes, mapping out your entire DNA. The machine then proceeds to identify the key genes in your body that are responsible for any mental health challenges you are experiencing. Even better, it predicts likely mental health issues you might struggle with in the future. But it doesn't end there. It predicts with zero margin of error the mental health issues your children and future generations might struggle with. More intriguingly, in that same future there is a man, probably 100 times richer than Elon Musk, who is working on a genetic weapon capable of turning a section of the public into a violent horde. Again, is all of this possible? The answer to all of this is likely. However, it depends on the understanding of the underlying role of genetics in mental health issues, as well as in the development of personality. Today's episode examines how mental health and personality traits are formed through an individual's genetic makeup. You will also learn how the understanding of genetics could be advantageous in providing personalized interventions for mental challenges. Imagine a chef crafting a recipe. He carefully combines all the key ingredients to make a flavorful dish. While some ingredients stand out more than others when tasted, others, like salt, might not be noticeable, but enhance the dish's overall flavor. The absence of salt might not significantly impact the dish, but using too much can overpower its delicacy. One of the pioneers in psychology, a British psychologist named Hans Eysenck, identified 3 ways by which character traits could be defined from genetic perspectives: extroversion, neuroticism, and psychoticism. Extroversion and neuroticism are the natural ingredients in that analogy. Of the 3, only psychoticism has a lower chance of being inherited. Psychoticism, based on the opening illustration, is like salt. It is present and potent. Too much of it, and more people would be prone to mental disorders than we have today. Or behaviors like extroversion, being sociable, readiness to make or not make friends, or regular feelings of anxiety are readily inheritable. Traits like severe mental disorders are less inheritable. That is why, for example, coming from a family with a history of bipolar disorder does not guarantee that one will have it. However, as long as there is a possibility of a mental disorder being inherited, it poses a real-life threat to those who come from families where mental disorders lurk in their genes. So the question at this point is, how does genetics contribute to the detection of mental health disorders? And to what extent? There is continuous research into genes that make individuals vulnerable to severe mental challenges such as depression, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. For example, twin and family studies reveal that genetics may contribute to the pathogenesis of psychotic disorders by 50 to 80%. While genes may be an underlying factor in mental disorders, other factors like social upbringing and life experiences also contribute. In essence, mental disorders are not directly inheritable most of the time. However, they are potent within the genes and, depending on the environment, can be triggered. Consider anyone who seems to be struggling with any form of mental disorder and do research on their environment. You will begin to understand that sometimes we are a product of our environment. And so, had the environment been changed early enough, perhaps most people wouldn't be struggling with mental disorders today. So how can the understanding of genetics provide personalized healthcare? What are the intricacies that will lead to the future painted at the introduction of this video? The answer is simple, and it is gene testing and pharmacogenomics. What is gene testing? Genetic testing is a form of medical test that identifies changes in genes, chromosomes, or proteins. The results of a genetic test can confirm or rule out a suspected genetic condition and help determine a person's likelihood of developing or passing on a genetic disorder. Genetic testing holds an important place in the future of healthcare for mental health challenges. Gene testing can help identify those who are at risk of specific mental disorders and understand how to assist them better. Pharmacogenomics involves the provision of medications tailored to an individual's genetic makeup. Knowing the genetic makeup of those battling mental health challenges can help provide them with custom treatments. Let us discuss 21 significant things you should know about genetics and mental health interventions. The forefront of psychiatric research focuses on genetic vulnerabilities to mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. Twin and family studies suggest that genetics may contribute to psychotic disorders by 50 to 80%. Mental disorders have several factors that influence them, including genetics, upbringing, and life experiences. Primarily, genetics and environmental factors interact to determine the manifestation of mental disorders. Understanding genetic contributions to personality traits and mental health disorders can lead to custom interventions. Patients can be treated based on the uniqueness of their genes. Genetic testing can identify individuals at heightened risk for specific disorders, enabling early intervention and prevention strategies. We are looking at a future where mental disorders will no longer be a thing. Customized mental health interventions can be tailored based on an individual's genetic profile. However, genetic profiling is a sensitive aspect of genetics. Pharmacogenomic testing can optimize medication selection and minimize adverse effects. It allows for the detection of genomic factors linked to differences in drug response before treatment. This means that an individual's potential reaction to certain medications can be identified based on their genes. In essence, pharmacogenomic testing ensures that the benefit of medication is maximized without the unintended consequences of adverse drug reactions. Notably, genetic research has expanded our understanding of how genes influence behavior and mental well-being. We can tell to an extent why certain people are prone to certain mental disorders. Understanding the complex interplay between genetics and the environment is essential. Even though genetics may be the foundation that could explain several behaviors or traits, the environment brings these genetic tendencies to the forefront, either increasing or decreasing their strength. Incorporating genetic insights into mental health interventions can improve treatment outcomes. Continued advancements in personalized mental health care are expected as technology advances and research methodologies are refined. Genetic research raises ethical considerations regarding privacy, consent, and the risk of discrimination. The last thing the world needs right now is the weaponization of genetics. It is easy to imagine a James Bond villain capable of causing great harm using a breakthrough in genetic research. Misuse or misinterpretation of genetic information can lead to harmful stereotypes and prejudice. Ethical guidelines and safeguards, such as informed consent and institutional review boards, are necessary to ensure the responsible conduct of genetic research. Ongoing discourse and consultation among researchers, policymakers, and society are crucial for addressing ethical complexities and ensuring responsible genetic research. When conducting genetic research on behavior, the 3 S must be adhered to. They are secrecy, security, and shielding members' freedom. The use of genetic data should be done with consent. The use of genetic determinism must be avoided. Genetic determinism is when people are wrongly perceived based on their genes without considering other relatable factors. Using genetic testing for the prediction of criminal behavior or mental disorders may lead to discrimination and unfair treatment, stigmatization, employment and education discrimination, legal discrimination, healthcare disparities, privacy concerns, reinforcement of biases, and self-fulfilling prophecies. And finally, cultural beliefs and the level of personal exposure of individuals to scientific information should be considered. Understanding genes and how they influence character traits and identifying mental health disorders is exciting, and we can only imagine what the future will bring. This knowledge enables clinicians to pinpoint genes responsible for these disorders and offers tailored interventions for affected individuals among 100 other possibilities, some good, a few scary. If you found this episode enlightening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Please share this video with someone who might find it interesting or helpful, and leave your thoughts and questions in the comments below. I look forward to continuing this conversation with you, and until next time, take care and stay curious.